Hi, how's everyone doing? Nice to see everybody again. Nice to be back with you all. Um, I did one of these last night. It was I was a little bit agitated last night when I did my Substack live. I'm a little bit calmer tonight. We'll be calmer tonight. I think we need some calm after all this commotion, don't you think? I think so. I've been trying to calm myself down so you can share in my calm that I have achieved through the mindfulness practices and such that I've done throughout the day. But so here we are. It's January 9th. We're off to an interesting start in 2026. Last night we discussed some things, a lot of things going on. So I want to like just kind of do a little bit of a checkpoint here, right? So I started, I started Notes from the Circus over a year ago, in late October of 2024. And I I was of two minds of it, right? So on on one hand, I was, sort of maybe like hopeful, optimistic that, like, I don't know, like maybe Kamala Harris would win, and like maybe this fascist, you know, storm system that's sort of blowing through history right now would pass. I was naive in that, and I kind of knew I was naive. Um, I pay attention to a lot of like really smart minds around the world that I think look at things. Some people, some of you who've read me for a while, or maybe even saw me have a Substack live with like Vlad Vexler. Is someone who I've gotten to know and have been following for many years, and it's his view years over the last 5 years has been very prescient. I mean, he saw this all coming. um and Vlad's sort of perspective and window on the world has been a pretty big influence on me, and I'm not ashamed to heap praise on him for all the wonderful education about really important topics that I've received from Vlad Vexler, watching both his videos and in private conversations with him. Um, so yeah, I mean, I was in my like the naive part of me was really hoping that I was just gonna really do some interesting philosophy, right, around around like AI ethics in particular. Like I had kind of a burn up my ass about what I saw as sort of a kind of Promethean culture in Silicon Valley around AI. um and all of you know how much I love David Hume, and as a philosopher, um and how much we sort of sit on this insight that, like, that reason alone cannot guide us, right? It cannot compel us to action. That comes from our passions. That comes from our emotions. This was the Izzat dilemma, Hume's guillotine. And and this has sort of been like a this insight, by the way, is really important towards developing the scientific method. This is often poorly understood, um, that Hume was not, he was criticizing pure reason, but he recognized that reason was a critically important tool for understanding the natural world, and that's where you sort of this is where empiricism comes from, is Hume's insight. Not that any of this matters, but I mean, but it's something obviously that, well, it does matter because it really forms sort of one of the most important philosophical insights about our existence and like who we are and the nature of morality and existence. Um, and and it's an insight that as those of you who've read me, and might be hearing me repeat myself, um, will know is that that like that the idea that technology, that pure reason, that the rational systems can can like presume on human will and morality is a fatal conceit, right? In the ultimate sense, it is the to give way to a notion of like technological determinism, that the shape of our existence will be the shape of technology rather than the shape of technology being the shape of human will, is it's one of the most important, I think, existential questions for humankind. And I have many ideas about that, and I've tried to suffuse my writings with my feelings on that, and you know um the path that I've ended up taking has been reactive to the world around me. So it's ended I've found myself not being this sort of um you know I honestly, like, if things had gone well and Notes from the Circus had, like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 thousand subscribers, and I was just writing really interesting things about like these kinds of thoughts around sort of the nature of like technology and existence, I would have been like perfectly happy, like, for the next few years, like um doing this. But as things turned out, we we opened the floodgates of hell onto human civilization, as more and more people are becoming aware of that fact as we speak. And so, as the year wore on, and it became eminently clear that what is happening now was going to happen. And here's the thing, like, the funny thing is, and it does need to be mentioned, that for all the um arguments of like, or accusations of hysteria on my part from my critics, former friends, former colleagues at the time, like when you read the stuff that I wrote in August, I'm sorry, October, November, December, January, like in that period before the election, and into the transition period, I all of my worst fears have been exceeded, like, at this point, right? Like, I mean, so like, the like the one of the things, I was out for a walk today, and I was just like thinking about this. I was thinking about the conversations that I'd had with people, back then, like former colleagues, like phone call conversations, just like in the course of life. Everyone's talking about politics. It was a big election. Donald Trump was running after all. And, you know, the sense that, I mean, I had the sense that if Donald Trump won a second term, which I hoped he wouldn't, and was hopeful he wouldn't, my theory of the case is that, like, he's a mobster, so he was going to put yes men around him the second time around. He wasn't going to get like fucked over by a bunch of like Republican establishment types like he did in his first administration. He's gonna put lapdogs in front of him, and also, I mean, and it was very clear, given the fact that he was trying to stay out of jail, that he was like, that this was going to inform the contours of his of his choices, and that this would be a loyalty system that he would establish around him. And I'd also taken note of the fact that JD Vance had been chosen as his running mate, and that which I found quite alarming, given the fact that in 2022 and uh, interview with James Pogue at Vanity Fair, JD Vance had more or less like said that like he thought that the United States Republic was at its end. He said we were in the late Republican phase, and that like he basically said that for all intents and purposes that Rome was awaiting its Caesar. Um, and this was the man that a bunch of right wing reactionary assholes from Silicon Valley, and some of these people I know personally, by the way, and fuck you, by the way, fuck you. I'm not, and so like, they got, they got, JD Vance and Don Jr. all fucking, chummy and managed at that moment to convince Trump to put Vance on the ticket, which was, it was I mean, when people talk about like Thiel and Andreessen and these like right wing tech fascists, and they are fascists. That's not hyperbole. Like we can, if you think I'm giving way to exaggeration there, I'm more than happy to, with great academic rigor, defend my assertion that these people are fascists, and I fucking will debate anyone anywhere on this point, because they in fact are. I mean, like I mean, it's weird because like they're not even really hiding it, right? Like when like A16Z's got like Carl Schmitt in their fucking reading lists, like Carl Schmitt. I mean, maybe we'll do a Substack live just on him. I mean, I've made myself somewhat of an expert in fascist philosophy over the last few years. We can have a conversation about him. But so, like, I mean, like these people are fascists. They are. They're not hiding it, and there's this like weird sort of like in between people like that are sort of like working in Silicon Valley that like know these people, and you go up to them and you're like, you realize that like Mark Andreessen is a fascist, right? Like, and they'll basically be like, Mike, like he's not, he's just like a conservative. He's just like a really right wing conservative. It's like, no, he's a fascist. He's like, and like, and they don't like understand that it's really frustrating like knowing a lot about like political philosophy and history and the general sort of like intellectual like world here, and like recognizing that like these patterns, like Carl Schmitt is a fascist philosopher, um and quite the rage these days in right-wing tech circles. And then just like, your friends just like think you're just exaggerating. It's like, dude, it's like, come on, Mark doesn't agree with the Holocaust. I'm like, well, I didn't say he did. Fascism doesn't necessarily have to mean that. People are fucking like, I don't like fascism does not literally mean that like the exact form that the Nazis took. That's stupid. That just shows you don't know what the fuck you're talking about when you're talking about like political philosophy and the definition of words like the word fascism. So shut the fuck up. But anyways, these people are fascists. So there's that. And and some of my former friends are like actually like that were, I mean, I don't think that all of them were always fascists, but they're fascists now. Um, and it's very like strange to like see the things they say and the things they like reply to me when I like text them, or send them like a news story or something like that. Like, what do you think of this? And so they're, they've like become fascist. It's weird. Like I don't have like a good explanation for all of these people, and I think I'm a pretty sophisticated person when it comes to sort of seeing people's like motives and and parsing out like some theory of mind on like why they've arrived at that place, but like seeing like so many people around me who I used to respect become fascists, I have to tell you, has been for me, like I honestly, psychologically devastating. I mean, I look. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, and I do. But like, for fuck's sakes, I mean, the amount of disappointment that I have for my fellow human is enough to, you know, I don't know, fill a couple of oceans. Let's continue on this rant, such as it is. Um, so some of my former friends are fascists. Um, and then there's another like group of people. I wouldn't like call them fascists per se. Like, that's not fair. Like, I try to be charitable. I am charitable, I think, right? Like, with people, I do just like try to like honestly comprehend like where people are. And so this next group of people, I'm giving them credit for not being fascists, but they're not moral exemplars either, because they're like literally sucking this regime's cock. They're doing that. They are in a uh, go along to get along mode. These are people that think, for instance, that well, they're regulated in some cases by the federal government, and they see that like people who say bad things about Donald Trump get punished by federal regulators, and people who suck Donald Trump's cock get like lots of nice things happen to them. That's cronyism, by the way. That's corruption. Going along with that's not acceptable. And those people those are the kinds of people that like decided that they couldn't work with me anymore. And I don't think much of them anymore at all. And I've had like, in the last day, I've had two people like kind of reach out to me privately, because they think that, they're like, look, man, like, are you sure that you want to like, like, just run people's like, good names like through the mud, for, they're just, they were just like, they're just trying to keep their head down and like, and make money and like feed their families, and I hear that, and as I, react with, something in the perimeter of moral fury towards these people. And it's a good, it's something that one should think about, right? Like, I guess I'm kind of a moral philosopher, so I can kind of, let's think about it, right? I mean, these people have kids and families, and their kids love them, and that's true. And like, I'm a humanitarian at the end of the day. Like, I don't hate these people, but like, I do have to like make the point, and I am going to make the point, that like these people turned their backs on me. I mean, like they did. And so, I mean, it's interesting that people would sort of like plea for mercy, that I not like name them, or um uh or say mean things about them on my Substack. So like, I mean, look, I'm not a vicious person. I just I'm gonna be honest with you about like how I sort of like feel, right? And I understand, and I understand that a lot of people that are tuning in right now don't have much context, but I'm a former executive, Silicon Valley, and I'm just like trying to what I'm trying to say is this, is that I'm operating on some very basic principles here, like basic principles. Like I'm down to the wire. I'm walking the wire. And that wire is that I love this country. I am eternally grateful for the sacrifices of everybody who came before me that built this country. I am, I am, I'm grateful for the sacrifices of the people who fought for independence, who fought in the Civil War, who fought against slavery, who fought for women's suffrage. I'm grateful for for like the civil rights movement. I'm grateful for the people who fought for sexual liberation. I'm grateful for all of the people who sacrificed to build a better country that came before me, and I'm grateful for them. And a lot of them died so we could have these things, and I'm eternally grateful for them. And that is like one of the things that I wake up every day and go to bed every night thinking about their sacrifice. And then I think in a different direction. I think towards the future. And then I think to myself, like those people sacrificed for me. So like, okay, so I'm here in this world, and I have my voice and I have my thoughts and whatever skills I have. And I feel a sense of responsibility to get it right, for the sake of my children, your children, future generations. I feel like I should do everything I can to document what I know about what all of you bad people have done to hurt a lot of people. Not because I want to hurt you, not because like not because like I want you to feel shameful, but because I don't want these mistakes repeated. Because I don't know if you know this, but like we have a whole shit ton of problems that we have to worry about as a civilization. We have nuclear weapons. We have advanced biological weapons, synthetic biology. Let's just cut to it. Like we have everything we need to destroy this planet and everything on it. And we're going to have a world of insane people building big red buttons. Big red doomsday buttons. And if this is our last chance to cleanse the world of corruption that gets in the way of us trying to live together peacefully as free people, with democratic government, which this country was founded to create, in the Republican model. If this is our last chance to sort of learn the lessons we need to before we start really playing with fire, then I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that everyone knows what mistakes were made. And so, no, this is not about like revenge. I'm not like trying to like fucking hurt you. I would appreciate it though if you took things as seriously as I think I'm taking them. That's because that's what I think I'm doing. You think I'm being a dick? You think I'm being a jerk, that I'm fucking calling you out? I mean, okay, you go ahead and think that, but that's not what this is about. I could fucking care less of that. So, I just wanted to let you know where I stood. And yeah. That's where I stand. I mean, I'm not I have no axe to grind. I have no axe to grind. I want the evildoers among us to stop doing evil. And then like, depending on, whether they apologize,
pay restitution, agree to stop being evil, reintegrate into our society. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm not a violent man. I don't think anybody should be violent. I just want people to stop being fucking evil. That's what I want them to do. But of course, these people seem hell bent on taking us all the way to the limit where blood starts being spilt, and blood has started to be spilt in this country. There's a woman dead, and I'm going to get upset if I talk about it again. So I'm not going to talk about it again. But we'll keep moving past that topic because it agitates me to no end that happened. We can't let these people get away with this. And it's not about revenge. It really is not about revenge, everybody. It's not about that. I could at this point, if Donald Trump fucking would agree to just like fuck off to like, I would be happily let him just like go live out his final days at the Kremlin at this point if he would leave. Like at this, like if that's what it would take. If that's what it would take, I mean, I would do that. I mean, this needs to stop. That's where I'm at this. But and we do need a full accounting, and the bad people among us do need to face justice. Anyways, those are my thoughts on this night, this January 9th. Thank you for caring a little bit, at least, or more than a little bit. I hope you care more than a little bit, because like this is literally it's about everything. It's about everything. This is about everything, and you should care. And fuck nihilism and fuck the cynics. I love you all. May love carry you home. America, advance. This is your land. This is your country. This is your republic. Move forward towards the future, America. Take what is yours. And have a wonderful night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.